Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome back to Michael in the Morning. Today is Friday, September 18th, 2020, and we have a lot of big news to cover with regards to the specific timeline on when we can expect to receive the second stimulus checks and when the second stimulus bill will pass. We have announcements from Mark Meadows and Nancy Pelosi on this. In today's video, we're first going to go over how House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Thursday doubled down on her insistence for a comprehensive stimulus package worth at least $2.2 trillion, telling reporters that it is hard to see how they can go any lower on a bill. She has been getting a lot of pressure from other House Democrats to come back to the table and get a deal passed very quickly because House Democrats don't want to go home on their campaign trails without a bill passed. Moving on, there was also great news the other day and additional signs of movement because Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin sat down and had their first phone conversation in more than 2 weeks about a stimulus bill. And now we're seeing both sides come back to the negotiating table and start to discuss specifics on what they would like to see in the bill. So this is really good news. And finally, on top of new information from congressional lawmakers, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows came out and he spoke on the Problem Solvers Caucus bill. He said how this is a good foundation for what we need to pass because it includes direct stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment benefits, and it will help tens of millions of Americans. And then he goes on the specific details of when we could expect to receive the direct stimulus checks in our bank accounts and when the bill will pass. So make sure to stick around until the end for that. But before we get started, it would really mean a lot if you could like the video down below and subscribe to my channel. It's completely free to do so, and it currently says about 50% of you watching are not subscribed. So if you'd like to stay up to date on the second stimulus check, second stimulus package, as well as other news updates, well then please make sure to subscribe. Also, we are so close to hitting 200,000 subscribers. We're less than 1,000 away right now, so let's see if we can get it there with this video. Also, don't forget, you can get a free stock valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below, and get $20 immediately when you download the M1 Finance app as well. So, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Thursday doubled down on her insistence for a comprehensive stimulus package worth at least $2.2 trillion. She told reporters how it's hard to see how we can go any lower than that. House Democrats keep on pressuring her to present a new stimulus bill for a vote next week. She said on Thursday that voting on some version of a Democratic stimulus bill is one of the options that's been under discussion within the party to break the impasse between the White House and Senate Republicans. But she explained how when we go into negotiation, it's about the allocation of resources because she says she ultimately still believes we need to have a total price tag of $2.2 trillion. So now it's just about how are they going to allocate this $2.2 trillion? How much should go to direct stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment benefits, money for states? How will this all be divided? The speaker did, however, acknowledge that because of the way the pandemic has changed over the last several months, the money in this $2.2 trillion compromise may now need to be distributed differently than they previously had spoken about. But ultimately, she says she still thinks we need to spend this much, and the basics are still going to be the same. Direct checks, unemployment benefits, money for state and local governments, but the amount may change slightly. Moving on, Pelosi has been getting a lot of pushback from House Democrats who are frustrated with the lack of movement on a second stimulus bill because many of them don't want to go home for their election campaign trails without a deal being passed. This is one of the major aspects because a lot of elected officials were expected to get a deal passed, and the American people are very frustrated that no deal has been passed yet. She said in an interview with MSNBC that she has a beautifully diverse caucus and that some Democrats want her to go again and put the $3.4 trillion HEROES Act back on the floor to vote on, so then they can negotiate down from there. She explained how she is used to building consensus in her own caucus and that she is proud that members of her party have been solid in terms of what they want on both the total price tag and the specific aspects of the bill. However, she did explain how now the economy has additional needs than it did 4 months ago when they passed this HEROES Act in the House. She said now restaurants, airlines, and the rest, all of these things need to be taken into consideration for this new bill, and that is why some aspects will change and they can't just propose the HEROES Act again. She ultimately said how we can put a bill on the floor, but we want to put a bill on the floor that will become a law, and how now we can expect the House to come out with a new bill and come to an agreement next week, she said. Moving on, there were some additional signs of movement with the second stimulus package because Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin had their first phone conversation in more than 2 weeks just the other day about stimulus relief talks. And now we're finally seeing both sides come back to the negotiating table to discuss the second stimulus package. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Mark Meadows came out and spoke about specific timelines on the next relief bill. He first said that I've had a number of conversations with Democrats on Capitol Hill, not just the Problem Solvers Caucus, but a number of others, and he thinks there's a growing sense that there's still some real needs that need to be addressed. He explained how the White House is willing to address these needs and get a deal passed very quickly and very rapidly. President Trump has come out and spoken how he wants a larger deal and he wants to get this deal out as soon as possible. Mark Meadows told CNBC that he is the most optimistic now, more than he has ever been, that both sides of the aisle can come to an agreement. And he goes on to say that the Problem Solvers Caucus bill, while it may not pass by itself, it at least provides a foundation for both sides to come back to the table on. And he said he thinks a deal will happen within the next week to 10 days. So he says he thinks an agreement will be passed within 7 to 10 days. He explains that he thinks a deal will happen this quickly because then it will still give lawmakers time to go home for their campaign trails. And according to Nancy Pelosi, she's not leaving Washington until a deal is passed. So that means they need to come to an agreement fairly quickly in order for top lawmakers to still have time to go on their election campaign trails. And finally, on top of good news from lawmakers in Congress, we have more great news from President Trump, who continues to urge Republicans to go for the much higher numbers in the next stimulus package. Just yesterday, he continued to show support for the Problem Solvers Caucus bill announced just the other day, saying that he agrees with a lot of aspects in the bill, such as the $1,200 stimulus checks, the enhanced unemployment benefits, and even the third stimulus check that is included in this bill. President Trump called on congressional Republicans to support a more massive economic relief bill with much higher numbers and direct stimulus checks for Americans, because what they previously had proposed just last week was a small $500 billion bill. He says that won't do it and they need to support a larger bill. Ultimately, though, he said he likes the larger amount and explained how even if some Republicans disagree, he thinks he can convince them to go along with a larger bill because that is something that the American people need. So anyways, that is just a quick update on the second stimulus check and second stimulus package as of Friday, September 18th, 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to get your free stock valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below, and get $20 immediately when you download the M1 Finance app as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.